Retro Now.
Hey, this is Lauren Mary Kim, and I'm the stunt double for Ahsoka Tano in Clone Wars and the armorer in The Mandalorian. You're listening to Dennis and Jay on Podcast Stardust. This is the way.
Hello there, Star Wars fans. I'm Jay Krebs.
And I'm Dennis Keithley.
And this is another fully armed and operational edition of Podcast Stardust, the galaxy source for Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. Dennis, before we get started, can you tell our listeners where to find us on social media?
Certainly, we can be found on Facebook and Instagram at Podcast Stardust.
So convenient we are. Welcome to episode 928 of Podcast Stardust. Today we are bringing you a special monthly feature called World Between Worlds, a mystical dimension that connects Star Wars fashion and lifestyle products to your space and time. The goal is to bring you a wide variety of ideas for products to surround you, outfit you, and bind your style sense together, kind of like the Fourths. So, with San Diego Comic-Con, as well as some other notable cons behind us, it's time to recap what we learned about additions to the Star Wars fashion and lifestyle landscape, as well as look forward to some upcoming seasons, including fall, back to school, and sports like football and hockey. So you'll find a little bit of everything in this episode. But before we jump into this month's latest and greatest Star Wars merch from around the galaxy, Dennis and I always recap any new Star Wars products that we've acquired or any updates on current items we own. So, as always, Dennis, you get to go first. Anything new?
Indeed. So, if you've listened to previous installments of World Between Worlds, it will come as no surprise that my wife spoils me when it comes to Star Wars gifts. And this past month was no exception. So, there was actually a late arriving gift from that was supposed to be for my birthday or Father's Day, but it showed up in late July. And that is this t-shirt that I'm actually currently wearing. And it is by the Life is Good brand. And if you're not familiar with them, they've been around for, I don't know how long. It feels like at least 20 years. I've had a number of different t-shirts from them. And they typically create shirts that have a stylized stick figure on there doing something smiling. Could be fishing, could be jogging, could be grilling. Most of the shirts I've had from them have featured this character grilling or fishing or something like that. And then they have their little, slogan there, life is good. Fun shirts, not overly complicated, usually some great colors, very, very comfortable. I've had a lot of these over the years. Well, you may be asking, what does this have to do with Star Wars? Well, the answer to that is they do make other things. And in this case, they put out a t-shirt that is called the Millennial Falcon. And how to describe it? It has got a silhouette of the Millennium Falcon flying from the bottom of the shirt towards the top, but it's not really flying. It's just the silhouette of it. And it's almost done in a tree ring type of a motif there with some markings to indicate the different parts of the Falcon. But over that is an image of an actual Falcon. And so the shirt itself is, they call it faded black is the color. And then the image of the Millennium Falcon is a white, light gray type of color. And then the Falcon itself is a beige, light brown type of a color. I'll put a link in the show notes so that you can go check it out. It's still available on their website. They both have it. They have it both in both men and women's styles. If you're so inclined to pick up one for yourself, I'm really, like I said, I'm a real big fan of the brand. I still have a number of these shirts, and I've worn out several shirts from Life is Good. And it even says that down at the bottom. Now I'm thinking about it. They've recently also put out some shirts that use Mickey Mouse because, and I'm talking about the version of Mickey that's now in the public domain. And so there's some fun shirts that they've got out there. They did a Indiana Jones shirt that still features that stylized stick figure character recently. I haven't picked up that one. I'm trying to remember what the other one that they did as well. But anyway, I've seen actually only one store ever, and that was when I was on vacation in Hilton Head Island. They had a storefront where they were selling a bunch of shirts. But yeah, it's a fun shirt. Like I said, real comfortable, and make sure you check it out when we put this in the links.
Oh, that's so cool. And, now that you've explained the Life is Good, I wasn't putting two and two together at first because this particular design is so much different than what their traditional, I guess you could say, sort of flagship kind of designs are. But
Yeah.
I see also that they have a men's Jedi Jake short sleeve tee with that exact type of stylized, almost like stick figure sort of
hmm
thing with a Jedi, very similar to Luke. But with a blue lightsaber that says life is good. And
Yeah.
so so that's really cool. So they have one in moss green. There's more of like a vintage blue, and then they also have the faded black that you talked about as well. But I'm seeing these other ones that you talked about with the Indiana Jones. They have some Jurassic Park. There's even Yo Adrian for
hmm
Rocky. So they've got a lot of really fun things. But yeah, that's another Star Wars one that's on the site as well. So very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just loving this shirt. Like I said, it's super comfortable, and was just picking out clothes for the day, and I was like, oh, I haven't had a chance to wear this yet, and so put it on, and then I was like, wait, I need to add to this notes for Between Worlds. So great timing all
Perfect.
around. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Very cool. Well, for me, I actually recently reconnected with a longtime Star Wars friend of mine. And so it was crazy because I haven't been using Facebook forever. And I just started kind of using it again and started peeking my head in and out. So I'm still not on there, not even a fraction of what I am on Instagram between some of my accounts, my private personal account and then my cosplay account, of course, ours as well. But reconnecting with this friend, she sent me the Ahsoka design Coca-Cola can. So this is a friend that she's always been known to just send goodies in the mail. And so she sent me a really sweet postcard that went along with it. And it was also had a very kind note to be very careful when opening the can itself, because of course it's been shaken around through
Right.
all kinds of, stops along the way in the postal service. So I haven't actually opened it up yet, but I this is the first Coca-Cola Star Wars can that I've actually had. So it's the live action version of Ahsoka that's being depicted on the can itself. Have you picked up any of the Coca-Cola cans at all?
No, I don't drink much in the way of soft drinks or soda,
Mhm.
I should say, these days. And two, I know myself, and if I started collecting a few of these, then I'd be trying to collect all of them. So I am avoiding
Yeah.
that.
And there are a lot to collect as well. And
hmm
I know there's been a little bit of criticism because there are not variety packs. So when you buy a 12 pack of Coke or Coke Zero, you get all one character. So if you're
Yep.
trying to be a completist, you're going to have to buy a heck of a lot of Coca Cola. So the only other one that I've actually seen myself was that when my husband and I recently did some traveling on the plane, he had a Kylo Ren Coke. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, on the original Coca-Cola, there's Lando, Obi-Wan, Queen Amidala, Kylo Ren that I just mentioned, Ahsoka, Darth Maul, K2SO, Boba Fett, Poe Dameron, The Mandalorian, Cassian Andor, General Grievous, and Emperor Palpatine. But then on Coke Zero, there's Darth Vader, Yoda, Princess Leia, Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, Han Solo, BB-8, C-3PO, R2-D2, Finn, Rey, Grogu, and an Imperial Stormtrooper. So there are some, though, that you can only get at Walt Disney World Resort and Disneyland Resort, which is Mandalorian and Grogu, the First Order Stormtrooper, and Chewbacca. So the rest of them you can purchase, but you don't know what you're going to get until you buy them.
Yep.
However, there was a Instagram user by the name of Max Rebo. So it's actually at MACSREBO. And this is a youngster who I got to know her through cosplaying Hera. So that's her main character. And so her parents actually uh, basically manage her account. But she recently posted a fun little hack is that if you are looking specifically for Anakin and you don't want to try to guess or peek, she posted a code that you can look at on the container itself before you buy it. So if you really want Anakin, the code is 08303. And again, that's only on Coke Zero. So you can't get Anakin on regular Coke. But and the thing of it is that they have Darth Vader and Anakin both on Coke Zero. You would think that they would put one on regular Coke and one on Coke Zero. So because essentially they're the same person. But
Yeah,
I digress.
I'd seen that Instagram posting that you're talking about on my own before you put the link in our notes. And just as a clarification, you can find that code on the side of the box where you, the short side of the box where you open it up to, so you can just pull a single can out at a time if you're going to put in your fridge, and it's there with the date code as well. So if you're looking for that code, that's where you're looking on the box. I know a lot of people have formed like groups to try and complete their collections of all these cans. I've mentioned them a few weeks ago, but I know the Be Our Guest podcast listeners on the Discord server that they have, a lot of them have been trading cans, or especially the ones that come from the theme parks. So if you are a completist and you don't want to buy how many cases of Coke it's going to take to get through all those in order to get through them, I would recommend doing some hunting online to see if you can get into some sort of a group that's trading these cans in order to complete your collection.
No, that's a great suggestion. And there is a really fun feature on here. There's a QR code that you can scan on the can itself that actually takes you to a fun little activity where you can do a hologram recording as a character of your choice. So there's a few different ones that you can pick from. There's a X-Wing pilot, a Jedi, a Sith, a Twi'lek, and a few more. And so I actually opened up that feature earlier today, but I didn't get a chance to do the holo recording. So I'll have to let you know how that goes. But that's a fun little thing, just an extra little oomph to getting when you get these Coke cans. I did see someone also that had some of the 20-ounce bottles that they took the wrapper off of it, the label itself, and very carefully used a like a cutting device or a box cutter kind of a thing to get it off of there. And then they laminated them. So then they put them into almost like a trading card type of folder where they could, laminate them and then keep them that way. And I thought that was super smart because, obviously the cans are going to take up a heck of a lot more space if you're trying to collect them all. But at least this way, you can get the labels and you can still have those images and things without having to, dedicate so much of your shelf space or whatever to all of the cans or all of the bottles. So I just thought that was really smart.
Indeed. Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. So if anybody gets some Coke cans out there, let us know. So moving on, this isn't a product related kind of thing, but it's definitely fashion and, fashion forward kind of thing, fashion history, if you will. And so because we are doing the 20th anniversary celebration of Revenge of the Sith this year, this story aligns with that. And I thought it was very relevant. So Vogue Australia recently published a flashback article to the many beautiful costumes worn by Natalie Portman in the Star Wars prequel movies and paid tribute to these designs by interviewing Trisha Bigger. So the article itself was titled 20 Years On and We're Still Thinking About Padme Amidala's Style. And it was posted July 23rd, 2025. And the article was written by Gladys Lay, L-A-I. And so the full article link will be in our show notes. But I just absolutely was in love with this article, Dennis, not surprisingly, because, of course, Padme Amidala's costumes have just been one of those things that have been synonymous not only with beauty, but also with history and culture and just all of the knowledge and research that went into developing these. So I want to read this excerpt that was quoted from the article. And this is in Trisha Bigger's voice, quote unquote. She says, I don't use the word timeless lightly. In fact, labeling an item timeless just because it's 90s inspired is something I consider a great blight on fashion media. But our continued affinity with Padme's clothes is a product of their timelessness, and that timelessness is quite literally because they are otherworldly. They were designed out of time. Bigger explains that her costumes were a confluence of references that were both historical and contemporary, an Art Nouveau and pre-Raphaelite version of color and beauty, which bled into Padme's love of ombres, iridescent blues, and seascape blues, ancient Mongolian headdresses for Padme's appearances in the Senate, 20s Juliet caps, and Maltese lace for Padme's wedding look, which was crafted from a vintage bedspread and embroidered with the help of Australian Sandra Fullerton. And she goes on to say most of the research was done at a time before online access to the world's museums and libraries was common. So books were the main source in finding inspiration for the myriad of Star Wars fashions, shares Bigger. Each planet was to have a specific history and visual style. And as the action takes place in a galaxy a long time ago, these are pictures drawn from the past rather than set in the future. We explored many of Earth's ancient and modern civilizations and cultures, historical, contemporary, and ethnic costumes. And as there were no constraints, we drew inspiration and ideas from all over the world. Love that. I mean, there's pictures galore in this as well. So if you're wondering what Trisha's favorite designs were, you got to read the article to find out, but she does go into exquisite detail on those designs, construction features, fabrics, inspirations, and her personal thoughts and memories on each. Great, great article, and how timely for the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith.
Indeed. Yeah, I'll definitely make sure the link for that gets in the notes.
Yes, and I'm such a sucker for fashion history stuff. So, so like I said, I had to throw that one in there. So there you have it. All right, so on to some products. So first off, we have a company called Rewind Era, and that's all one word, Rewind Era. And this is very similar to TeePublic in that they work with independent artists to create different garments. And the way that I found this one was by one of those wonderful Instagram sponsored ads, but it featured a sleeveless dress with Star Wars characters as cats. So I don't own a cat, but I know people that have cats. But of course, it was Star Wars. So I had to click on it and find out what this was all about. So as I did that, wow, lo and behold, there's a whole world of different types of Star Wars inspired designs, tons. And also a huge variety of representations of other pop culture and fandoms as well. I mean, just to name a few, there's Legend of Zelda, The Muppets, Star Trek, even WWE, and Blast from the Past, Schoolhouse Rock. Do you remember
Yeah.
Schoolhouse Rock?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm just a bill sitting on top of the hill.
That's
Right?
right.
That was a
Yeah.
good one. So, some of the products that they actually have, in addition to the sleeveless dress that I just mentioned, they have some classic unisex t shirts, keeping it simple, button down and Hawaiian shirts similar to Roosevelt style silhouettes. So, if you're familiar with Roosevelts, we've talked about them on the show before. So, there's those. There are also polo shirts for men and women. There are leggings and flare leggings. This one definitely caught my eye. Love me a good pair of leggings, but unfortunately, there were no side pockets for your phone. So I was hoping, to maybe upgrade my running wear or exercise wear with that, but that didn't sell me, I'm going to say. Then there were some Hawaiian style shorts for guys. So, keeping the summer going just a little bit. But one thing that I really did fall in love with were these crisscross tanks for the ladies. And so in the back, it's literally a bunch of smaller straps that crisscross over top of each other to create a nice little almost like lattice work design on the back part of it. And they're kind of flared. And I thought, oh my gosh, these would be great for running. And then there's also some raglan dresses. Think like a long baseball jersey and baseball jerseys. There's tote bags. And if you're looking forward to some cooler weather, winter and Christmas, there are short and long sleeve classic style pajama sets, as well as ugly Christmas sweatshirt designs and all over print hoodies. So there's tons of different types of things available. And I'll tell you, all of the different prints themselves are just so much fun. And it's one of those things that you can't take your Star Wars too seriously when you're looking at these designs. There's also a lot of really fun As we've talked about before, you got to look twice kind of things to
Right.
figure out that they're actually Star Wars. And also some nice little mashups between things that, like for me personally, I love stormtroopers with flowers. I don't know. It's just a thing for me. So there's plenty of those to go around. And so you got to really check it out to see all of the different styles and types of artwork and patterns that they have available. But most of the products are some sort of woven or knit polyester blend, depending on the product itself. But they do use other fabrics like spandex, such as like in the leggings and that type of thing. The t shirts are actually 99% cotton. So don't throw them in your dryer, folks. Make sure you hang those up or they'll fit your dog. And the sweatshirts are mostly acrylic wool. So the company itself is based out of Boulder, Colorado, but they do use apparel that is shipped from both the USA and Asian suppliers. And if you're looking for a turnaround time, their products include production and shipping time, and it varies depending on what you order, but the usual turnaround time is about 2 weeks. So I was super excited about this particular website and looking forward, especially to some of these ugly sweatshirts. I'm thinking, oh gosh, I gotta maybe add one of these to my my repertoire, so to speak. But did you get a chance to peruse through any of these while I was talking? And did you find any design styles or prints that that you liked?
Oh, there's a lot that I think are fun. Whether I'd wear them is another story, just because I'm a little more conservative when it comes to dress. But I love that, that they carry over so many of the prints across the different styles here. So if you like it on one of those sleeveless dresses, you can probably also find it on the Hawaiian shirt as well. And so, frequently you can't do that across different manufacturers there. A style is limited to a t-shirt or maybe on a long sleeve shirt, but not both. But anyways, one of the ones that I just giggled when I saw was the Vader scream on the. I saw it first on the Hawaiian shirt, but the classic painting, the scream, except for it's Darth Vader as opposed to the character that's in the middle of that. That was fun.
Hmm.
Some Simpson style Star Wars characters on another shirt. A lot of fun things here. This is incredibly clever, and I can see why you're excited about it.
Oh yeah, they even have some mashups between like SpongeBob SquarePants and Star Wars and some really groovy like synthwave types of things. So if you're into more of the Hawaiian or like tiki inspired sorts of things and yeah, so there's tons. So, it's never too early I guess to start thinking about those holiday gifts too. So if you have somebody in your life that might appreciate some of this stuff, might be the way to go. So once again, that is rewindera.com. And as always, all of the links to this will be in our show notes. I also have to admit there was a Star Wars gingerbread that has kind of a cream background with different Star Wars designs as gingerbread cookies. And I
Uh-huh.
thought, oh gosh, I could totally get that sleeveless dress and then pair it with a nice little cardigan. And that would be a perfect like, Christmas outfit. So there you go.
There you
Stay
go.
tuned. I might get it. You never know. So moving on, Joy Jolt, which we've also talked about several times here on the podcast as well, they have a new line of Star Wars retro vintage tumbler glasses. So again, this one came over my Instagram line. So I was like, oh, okay, this is really fun. So these are a 6-piece set, and the designs themselves are on what they call can-shaped glass tumblers, which are actually really popular right now. So I've been seeing a lot of these types of things all over the place. So it's, as the name would suggest, these are very retro vintage looking. So they have a red leader, says Starfighter School on it, and it has the rebel symbol, and it says Beggars Canyon Tatooine over the top of that, and then where rebels are born. I thought that one was really cool. And then they have a Jawa pawn and salvage. We buy junk, buy, sell, trade, no refunds with the Jawas and the sand crawler and little gonk droid and whatnot on that one. And then we have a blue motif with Chewie on it, which I thought was an interesting color, but it's Chewie Starfighter Service and Repair. But it does remind me of like the old fashioned auto repair shops, and some
Hmm.
of the different types of logos that you might see there. There's an R2D2, Droid Recycling, and Astromech Supply Restore, Rejuvenate, and Refresh, featuring R2D2. Master Yoda's Meditation Center flows through you, the Force does. So it features Yoda meditating and floating with some rocks. And then we have our Darth Vader Learn to Lead Darth Vader Management Consulting. So a lot of really fun little play on some of your older, like 1950s style advertisement sorts of things. And so they are going for $47.95 for the set of 6. And if you go to the website, you'll see where there's been a couple people that have posted how they show up at their house. They're all very nicely individually packed with, of course, lovingly wrapped bubble wrap all throughout and some separation devices in between. And the only thing about these though is that they don't have they do, let me back up for just a second. They do have a capacity of 16 ounces. They do include glass straws and one straw brush cleaner. And they are crafted from lead-free soda lime glass. They are freezer safe, which I thought was really cool. Hand wash only though. Suggested to wash before first use, and they do have a limited 1-year warranty. They also, just real quick, have a now playing set with much more playful designs, and that's a set of 4. But a lot of their other designs include lids that fit onto these can type glasses. So in our notes, I showed there's a Lilo and Stitch, for example, set that they have available that matches some of the colors that are in the glasses themselves. But these don't have lids available. And I even looked around on the website to see if you could buy the lids separately, and you can't. So that for me is kind of a real missed opportunity, because personally, I would want to have the lids, because then that way, you could take them outside and, while we still have some nice cookout time left and you don't have to worry about a fly landing in your drink, or whatever. And so I wish that they would have had those lids. So I'm kind of sad about that. But the glasses themselves are great.
Yeah, no, I mean, these are cute, and fun. I could see using these on a Friday night when I'm mixing up cocktails, and stuff like that. That this would be fun to drink those out of, especially if you're doing something colorful. I mean, I wouldn't drink wine out of these. That just would not look right.
Sure.
But if I'm making a mudslide, or if I'm making a daiquiri or something like that, these would be fun to drink those out of. And yeah, I get your point about not having the lids, but that is not as big a concern for me as just having the fun vessel to drink them out, especially just watching TV and doing this type of thing. So yeah, this is a good find.
Yeah, yeah. I need to revamp some of my drinkware. I have a ton of older stuff that doesn't really match each other. So I'm thinking I might just need to, revamp and get all Star Wars.
Oh, there you
So,
go.
that'd be awesome. I'll think about it. We'll see. But speaking of drinkware, Beeline Creative, which is really known for their Star Wars Geeky Tiki designs, they
Hmm.
just put out an APB on Instagram for customers to chime in on their favorite Star Wars Geeky Tiki exclusives and or retired items in limited quantities and or special edition glazes. So think like their old hologram Leia design. And so the products that get the most love will be considered for a re-release on May the 4th of 2026 and will coincide with the company's 10-year anniversary. So I thought that was really cool, and so
Yeah.
they've gotten a lot of reaction on their Instagram, a lot of votes for the hologram Leia. And so if you go to their Instagram, you can see some of the designs that they have featured there, but it's not limited to the ones that are featured there. So there's, like Max Rebo, for example, and Cy Snoodles. And then there's also an AT-AT that's kind of face first down in the snow with the Empire Strikes Back snow logo underneath it and some other things too. So I just thought that was really cool. So I know it's looking way, way, way forward to next year already, but once again, it's a fun way for them to get fans involved. And I know a lot of people are really into the Geeky Tiki lines of things.
Oh yeah, yeah. They've got a very dedicated fan base that eats this stuff up, and you can just see from the comments on that Instagram post how passionate people all are about this. So yeah, if you, I would highly advise going to participate in this poll if you're interested in them bringing something back, because it looks like people are not afraid to voice their opinions, and the least bit
Mhm.
here. So
Tis true. Tis true. Yeah, it's always fun to read the comments. But to keep the summer vibe going year round, the company also debuted some new items at their San Diego Comic-Con booth in July. And some are actually available right now, and others you can get on pre-order. So there's a fun 6-pack of Empire Strikes Back swizzle sticks that you can purchase right now. And there's also a 4-pack of coasters that are very fun. And of course, keep to the tradition of the geeky tikis. And then some of the other things that you can actually pre-order include an Ewok Mega Muglet 3-pack and a Sarlacc Pit Punch Bowl and ATST, which is so cute because it also has a Chewbacca like shot glass removable type thing. So it's a 2-piece stackable, which is so cool. And then a Boba Fett coconut mug, which are all on pre-order. So all of those things are estimated ship date November 25. So if you're again looking for something that might be on someone's Christmas list or maybe your own, now would be the time to pre-order those and get that done. So again, that is at at beelinecreative.com. Okay,
very good. Yeah.
moving on. Yeah. So next one is Heroes and Villains brand. And so again, this is a company we've talked about several times on World Between Worlds here on Podcast Stardust. But this one is fun. It's new, whether you're headed to a concert or a sporting event at a stadium. Clear bags and backpacks have definitely become an essential item for security. So Heroes and Villains does now have two what they call stadium crossbody bags available to fit your needs. One is called Rebel Metropolis, and the other one is called Jedi Metropolis. Both of these are $55 each. And from the website, it says they are designed to keep you organized and hands free while meeting stadium security requirements. Whether you're heading to a concert, festival, or game day, this versatile bag ensures you breeze through security checks. So it does meet most stadium requirements. You can use it as like a sling bag or what they call, I call fanny pack, but it does have a small removable pouch for private and secure items, as well as a back panel slide pocket for quick access to things like your cell phone or your venue tickets. So the strap itself is really cool. It's got a nice embroidered design on it. So some Orabash, and depending upon which one of those two you get, the Rebel or the Jedi, it has some very distinctive designs on there. So whether you're looking at the Jedi symbol itself, or the Rebel symbol itself, so you can pick your motif, so to speak. And so the Jedi is more of like a earth tone, I guess you could say. So it's got some almost like a clay color with some brown, and then the Rebel has more of what I guess you could call a Tatooine sunset sort of color
Kind of a
vibe
Southwest
to it.
vibe to it.
Yeah, Southwest vibe. There you go. I was thinking Tatooine, desert.
Yeah.
So there you go. So yeah, so I really, really like these. I think they're super cool. And again, one of those things that with the new security requirements at a lot of places is a great way to go.
Yeah, and the Arabesh does say Rebel and Jedi, if you're wondering. But there, so that was a pretty basic translation. But those are, you're right. I just remember like the last that comes up more and more. I remember at the last time I was at a high school graduation, they were doing it at the Dallas Cowboys training facility, and you had to have stadium approved bags if you're going to bring one in. And so a lot of people are having to go back. Something like this would have been invaluable for people.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And what's nice too is that, I mean, I don't know. Do you think they look too girly, or do you think that a guy would be able to get away with using one of these? Because they feature a girl using it, but I almost
Mhm.
feel like you could go either way, I think. Do you
When it's slung over the shoulder, it does look like a purse, in my
Mhm.
opinion. Around the waist, it's pretty big, on this model here. So I could see, you know, men would probably prefer some sort of something that's gonna be slung over the back more than around the waist
Yeah.
there. But so I mean, I definitely think it's a little bit more feminine than masculine, but I wouldn't think twice if I saw a man carrying it.
Mhm. Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that they didn't have some sort of clear backpack or like even a sling back kind of thing, with the
Right.
drawstrings, because I see a lot of those too. So who knows? Maybe that's coming. Maybe this is just sort of a pilot product sort of thing just to see how well they sell. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. But anyways, I think they're really cool. So $55. They also list a lot of items as being new on their website. So some right now are for pre-order, including their Hydra slings, which are great for taking in the fall foliage on hikes, commuting, or other travel. Those will begin shipping September 8th. So there's a few different ones to pick from. The one that I featured here in our notes is called the Rebel Hydra sling, which every time I say that, when I say Hydra, I think, Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
But that's like the first thing that comes to mind. But they also have an Imperial Hydra sling, a Jedi Hydra sling as well. And so, what's really cool about all of these is there's a lot of different features that come along with these. And so the dimensions are basically 10-inch tall by 5-inch wide by 4-inch deep. They have an insulated main compartment that keeps drinks at the right temperature, has a drawstring closure that fits water bottles and up to 40-ounce tumbler cups with handles. So, those big old Stanleys that people love carrying around these days will fit in this. A front zip pocket with a built-in wallet to save space, an exterior quick access pocket, back panel zippered pocket for securing valuables. They also have an adjustable webbing shoulder strap that has a thick shoulder pad for all-day comfort and a mole strap. It's all capitals MOLLE, that allows for attaching extra pouches or carabiners. So if you're taking this on a hike or something like that, for example, you can attach a whole bunch of stuff to this. So it's got basically little loopy loops on it that you can put some different things into. And the materials themselves contain recycled and new materials, including an 85% polyester shell, 15% polyurethane. The lining is 100% polyester, and these are all officially licensed merchandise. So very cool. Like, this would be something that I could definitely see, like, taking along on a hike, because sometimes I don't like to take big backpacks. So
Right.
I kind of wish that I would have had something like this. My husband and I just recently went to Alaska, and this would have been perfect to take along on some of our hikes, and or for a quote unquote personal item, that you can even bring along on a plane.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you. This is something that's got a lot of utility to it. With that, it's not going to weigh you down. I mean, you can carry what you need to carry, and then you know it's because a backpack. I've got plenty of backpacks, love backpacks, but you wander around with one, and it's going to make your back sweat, if nothing
Right.
else. And so this
Mhm.
is going to free up some of that, and be just that much more compact. So yeah, good find.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So if anybody picks any of these up, please let us know. And then finally, I had mentioned that back to school season is upon us. So Amazon actually has a Star Wars back to school store, which is really cool. Like, they have an entire storefront, and it's very comic book oriented on the advertising banner that you see when you first go to that part of the website. But this one is definitely a little bit more oriented for the younglings, if you will. So there's everything from your traditional back to school items like backpacks and gel pens, but they also have things like even little, like the giblet kind of things, the Grogu Crocs and things, and apparel and so on and so forth for the littles. They also have some different types of tech accessories as well. There's some earbuds. There's a wireless mouse, for example, a USB wireless keyboard, all kinds of fun things. So if you are in need of anything Star Wars for the youngsters, and I would say all the way up, for some of these into high school, definitely not the apparel, unless you have
No.
like really small feet, but and things like that. But a lot of different types of brands that we're definitely familiar with. So there's things like Erin Condren that are on here, and those are some of the planners and so on and so forth, especially in the college section that I found. But then there's also some things like from Lego, for example. There's a Star Wars book light, which I love, the Darth Vader one. So the lights actually come out of the bottom of his feet.
Hmm.
which is so cool. And then there's just a bunch of other things as well. So again, I can't get into all of this on this particular episode, but if you need anything for back to school, definitely head over to Amazon for that. And once again, the college store includes things like wall art, some organizing bins, storage solutions, and again, some planners and organizers, etc. So lots and lots of things for all of your back to school needs.
Yeah, the kids one, I could almost smell like the school supplies the way that was so set up. It was
Oh gosh, yeah.
yeah, with the plenty of apparel, but just some of the other school supply stuff. I was like, remember that? I remember being in that aisle as a kid, and I, I I can just see all that stuff set up that way. That was pretty cool.
Isn't it crazy how like there's also a certain smell to it
Yep,
that you think of when you think of like back to school items? I totally get that. The smell of pencils and,
that's the first thing that
marker.
came to mind.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then
Or
the
crayons.
like the that plasticky smell from the Trapper Keeper is the
Oh
other one.
gosh.
Yeah.
Totally, totally. Yeah, and even the lunch boxes, because a lot of times
Hmm.
those lunch boxes would have those vinyl ones
Yep.
would have oh gosh, talk about core memories unlocked. There you have it.
Hmm.
All right. So, our last story, I wanted to give a quick update because last World Between Worlds, I had previewed the San Diego Comic Con Her Universe fashion show. So, I do have a little update on that. So, if you want to go back and hear the intro, it was previewed in episode 913. And the main reason that I cover this is just because the fact that Ashley Eckstein is the voice of Ahsoka Tano, and she's been doing this through Her Universe, which of course is her flagship company that started all of the geeky designs for women that and have now branched out to also have unisex designs and our universe as well. So just going through the winners really quickly, there were two main winners. So there was a audience winner who is Caitlin Beards. Her design was called Couture of the Dead, and it was based on The Mummy, so the 1999 movie, one of my favorites,
Yeah.
inspired. And so she goes by at Lady Ava Designs on Instagram. And the 2025 Judges winner was Linley Santo, and her design was called Poppy's Hues of Happiness from DreamWorks Trolls, movie inspired. And her handle on Instagram is at Lynn Lee Sato. So that one is LynLeighSato. No Star Wars represented at all this year, which is
Huh.
really sad. I know. A lot of Wicked designs, and that was kind of the whole premise of the show anyways. And Ashley Eckstein's designs were also all Wicked themed. One of her dresses, and we always know that her dresses every year try to outdo the last. And I always go back to her Lego Ahsoka dress that was like
Hmm.
27 pounds or something like that. But this one of the dresses actually featured real tulips and greens. So they had tulip blossoms all over the dress and depicted the yellow brick road. And I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong. And I think that thinking outside of the box on these is always it just amazing. And the purpose of these dresses is to be over the top. But for me, it just kind of reminded me more like a Rose Parade float than a
I
dress.
was just gonna say she could wear this to the Rose Parade. You
Yeah, for
stole that
sure.
right on my mind.
So, but the shoes themselves were awesome. So there were these heels that had a wraparound strap around the ankles and then featured some flowers as well on the heels themselves, which were also real. So, of course, I mean, how could you not love something like that? But it's definitely not something that you could wear again because
No.
it's definitely just a one-time thing, which is sad. But some other contestant notables, just my personal favorites in some of the other franchises. I love Megamind. So there was a Megamind inspired dress. There was one from Saturday Night Live, which was called A Dress Down by the River, based on the Chris Farley comedy sketches, and a Dracula themed dress complete with veins, quote unquote, that were used to create a blood effect. Unfortunately, that contestant had a little problem with the blood bags and it burst. And so it got
Oof.
all over her dress. So I was following her on Instagram and I felt so bad because she actually did all of the lace herself. She created all of this lace herself. And so she was really bummed out about that. But you know what? Part of fashion design and cosplay is all about problem solving and figuring out, okay, going back to the drawing board, what can I do better next time? And I'm sure she will knock it out of the park and figure it out before you know it. So once again, you can go to heruniverse.com to check all of that out. And there is a YouTube, I forgot to put that in the notes, but I'll have to get that link so that you can actually watch. It was just posted as of this recording about 3 days ago. So it's very fresh. And so if you want to watch the entire Her Universe fashion show, you can head over to YouTube. And I'm sure if you just search it, you can find it really quickly.
Yeah, it's a lot of creativity here with these dresses. And I admire it quite a bit. And the other thing I'd like to point out is that I just appreciate how inclusive all this is that the, and I'm going to be very careful here, the models aren't all the typical, 6 foot tall women that haven't had a meal in a week,
Mm-hmm.
super skinny people. These are real people wearing these
Right.
dresses. And I think that's outstanding here. And so I applaud all the creativity here. I appreciate that someone or a couple people made dresses themed after How to Train Your Dragon. That's such a favorite in my household that I'm glad that inspired somebody else as well.
Yeah, there were some awesome designs. So, yeah, and I'll tell you what, just the design process that goes into a lot of these, if you go into that webpage that we have linked, you can see all of the contestants and you'll see all of their Instagram handles where you can go and you can follow some of the things that they did. And for me, the creative process is just so fascinating. So, like you said, I just really appreciate the fact that these are real people that are out there just trying to get that creativity out there and just showing their true talent, and it's very inspiring.
Indeed.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of World Between Worlds. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode,
Oh,
which
yeah,
has
I never
been
did.
928 of Podcast Stardust and this episode of World Between Worlds. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if so, please make sure to subscribe to Podcast Stardust on your podcatcher of choice, which we're basically everywhere. And I'd also like to remind you that you can find all episodes of the podcast on retrozap.com, where we've been since 2019. RetroZap is also home to several other great podcasts, including Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Case Files, Animaniacast, Brews and Blasters, Dork Lair, Dunecast, Enjoy Stuff, Love, Death, and Robots Plus, Superhero Suite. And I know there's been a few new episodes of a couple of those that have just come out recently, as well as some back episodes of your podcast, Dennis, Warp Trails.
Indeed.
And as always, we greatly appreciate a 5-star rating and reviews on whatever podcatcher you use, but especially if that is Apple Podcasts. That one just seems to boost us up those algorithms. So please share the show and your favorite episodes on all social media as well. Speaking of which, Dennis, what are those social media contacts one more time?
Right. So you can find us primarily on Facebook and Instagram at Podcast Stardust. We also have a presence over on Pinterest. The podcast is set up on YouTube, both the classic YouTube and YouTube Music. Unfortunately, there's no video because we just don't do the whole camera thing. We like to relax at the end of the day. And then if you're looking for some merch, head over to TeePublic. We've got all of our various logos available on a variety of different products over there. And if you get something, make sure you take a picture and tag us in it. We'd love to see it. It's been fun when we get those type of things with images capturing our logo out in the wild. So again, we appreciate that.
And there you go. Yeah. So that'll do it for that. But upcoming on the show, this coming Friday, we have our regular news episode. And then on Monday, we will be continuing the Clone Watch rewatch. I'm sorry, the Clone Wars rewatch. You can tell we've been podcasting for a lot of hours this evening. But at any rate, we have been having all kinds of fun doing that. So we hope that you will join us for that. And then on Wednesday, we have yet another edition of our Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary segment breakdown discussion with an amazing guest. So you don't want to miss that one. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. And until next time, may the force of Star Wars fashion and lifestyle be with you.